Hello, Internet. It's your boy, MC Gingerbread here for another episode of Oh my god, you've made this joke like 6 times, when are you gonna stop? Never. Never gonna stop. Today we're gonna be talking about downloadable content, the history behind it, and where it's gone from there. But before we start that, we're gonna get a word from our sponsors.
Raid's Shadow Legends sucks.
Come on, you think I have fucking sponsors? I have like 3 followers. Let's get right into this shit. Downloadable content started out a lot earlier than you might have thought, starting all the way back in the Atari 2600 through its game line service that was offered through a telephone line. And then on the Sega Genesis with this program called the Sega Channel. Both were very limited by the technology they had at the time, and they were pay-to-play scenarios. And they were also the full content games. They were not downloadable content that we've come to know and despise. Now, after those 2 consoles, the next console to have online support was the Sega Dreamcast. And it was very limited by the amount of storage that you can have on the memory card, so it was a very small amount of downloadable content, which is kind of weird to say that Sega was leading the charge in online content, but Sony didn't even come out with a console that had online support, so Sega was in a league of its own. And then comes Microsoft with its big swinging dick and has online support and downloadable content for huge franchises like Halo 2, Ninja Gaiden, and Splinter Cell. And these were a big deal. And unlike most of the other consoles at the time, Microsoft decided to charge for them. Yay! Shortly after the success of the Xbox, Microsoft decided to invest more into online gaming, and thus the Xbox Marketplace was born. The Xbox 360 had downloadable content so fully integrated into the system that it had an entire area dedicated to the interface specifically for the Microsoft Store. This is also when Microsoft decided to start charging people to play online, so thanks for that, Microsoft. They decided that it would benefit their publishers to sell small content packs from around $1 to $5 as a small fee. Now, most of these content packs you could find online for free because they were just cheap mods. No, they decided to charge people for them. And they also created their own currency in order to avoid small banking fees for these purchases, which isn't horrible, but at least annoying. One of the first downloadable contents that came out that had some controversy behind it was the Horse Armor DLC for Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion. A lot of people complained that it was just purely cosmetic, added nothing to the game, and was way overpriced. Now think about this, for example. People were mad about a downloadable content that was purely cosmetic, and it was only $2.50. $2.50. Oh, how far we have fallen. Sony quickly followed Microsoft's lead and created the PlayStation Store, and from there, companies spewed out more shit than if you ate an entire box of laxatives while eating at the Golden Corral. There are some good DLCs and a lot of bad DLCs, and it would take me a long time in order for me to go through all of them, so I'm going to break the DLCs down into 5 different categories to show you some companies are just out there to get your money. There are useless DLC, pay-to-win DLC, day 1 DLC, overabundant DLC, and content lock DLC. So let's go ahead and get right into it. Useless DLCs are just slight cosmetic changes which normally are cheap mods that don't really add anything to the game and shouldn't have a price attached to them, like the aforementioned Horse Armor DLC, which was really dumb for Bethesda to put out because it taints the memory of such an awesome game. Another downloadable content like that was the Midnight Show for the Saboteur, which was literally just a nudity mod for characters that you met inside the brothels and the casinos. That's it. That's all it added was titties. And then one of the worst ones was for the game Street Fighter 3 Online Edition, which was just a color pack mod that literally just added different sprites for the characters, which probably took them an amount of seconds to create. And the worst part about it is that other people wouldn't be able to see this downloadable content unless they too also bought this shitty DLC, which is just stupid. Pay-to-win DLCs is where, instead of having to grind up experience to unlock items in-game, you just pay money for them, like in Battlefield 4's Shortcut Bundle, which was literally just a shortcut to higher level guns, which you would normally have to grind experience to get, but instead you could just fucking spew money out and get them because you're fucking lazy or something. Another one that was really bad was the Sonic Lost World's 25 Lives pack, which was literally just an extra 25 lives added to the game, which pissed off so many people that Sega actually had to make an announcement to let people know that they weren't allowing people to purchase this DLC. Another one was Mortal Kombat X. When that came out, everybody really liked the game. It had a really good upbringing and everything. And it kind of soured the taste in everybody's mouth when they came out with this DLC for easy fatalities, which was literally just the ability to purchase fatalities instead of actually learning the moves in the game, which doesn't make any sense to me because you bought the game, why not learn the moves? Makes no fucking sense. Another one that was the worst one, and everybody knows about this one, was Star Wars Battlefront 2's loot box system, which it's not necessarily a DLC as it is loot boxes, but it still allowed you to buy content that made you more powerful in-game against other players, which pissed off so many people and had so much backlash to it that they removed it from the game entirely and actually caused a few national governments to start regulating loot box systems in general. And EA definitely learned their mistakes, started coming out with better content for the game, made it free, and developed a really strong fan base. And then they canceled all support for the game. Day one DLCs, which I think are just never excusable. If you have a downloadable content that you want to put out on day one, just put it with the fucking game. It doesn't make any sense. A good example of this is Deus Ex Mankind Divided, which at the beginning they were saying that the DLC was locked behind a pre-order wall, so more people had to pre-order it in order for the DLC to be unlocked. Eventually they allowed this DLC to go free for everybody, but only after their game took a massive hit in sales comparatively to their previous title. Human Revolution sold 1.6 million copies, whereas Mankind Divided only sold 670,000. So it's a big drop in sales. Another game that took a huge hit when it was first announced was Street Fighter X Tekken, because right at the start, Capcom decided to lock 12 characters behind a paywall, and the worst part about that is that those 12 characters weren't even downloadable content. They were literally already installed in the game, they just put them behind a fucking paywall, which really shows you how fucking ridiculous and money-grubbing Capcom is. Another one that was really irritating was the From Ashes DLC for Mass Effect 3, which added a character and some lore to the game, which was almost essential in order to get the full story of the game, and it really pissed a lot of people off. They made it a pre-order bonus, or you had to pay $5 for it, which is just really absurd and dumb. And also, Mass Effect 3 was one of the first games to allow loot boxes that did it really well, and that's what started the whole loot box series. So, thanks for that, EA. After that, one of the worst Day 1 DLCs, in my opinion, is a game that wasn't even fully out when they had a paid DLC, which was Ark Survival Evolved. So, Ark Survival Evolved started in early access in 2015, and then before the game even came out, they started branching out into other things instead of fucking finishing the game. They started putting it on different consoles. They came out with a free-to-play version, and they came out with a DLC that was paid before the game was even fucking done. And then in 2017, 2 years later, after the game was in early access, they finally fully released the game, and then 4 months after that, another paid DLC comes out. What the fuck? Overabundant DLC means there was just so much DLC that it was absolutely absurd. Like Train Simulator 2012, which has about $3,000 worth of downloadable content, which the company themselves say that they don't expect people to purchase all of that downloadable content. But that's still just a ridiculous amount of fucking trains.
I like trains.
One of the worst ones is actually Rock Band, which has over $9,000 worth of songs that you can download on the game, which hopefully no one's bought all of those songs because that would just be batshit insane. Also, some of those songs absolutely blow, but either way, it's just ridiculous how much downloadable content they added. But one of the worst ones is The Sims. And look at that, EA again. The Sims every year comes out with about like 5 or 6 different little packs you have to spend more money on just to add small amounts of content to the game. And fucking Sims 4 got in hot water because they actually took content out of the original Sims 3 to sell you later in Sims 4 with downloadable content, which is just fucking crazy, but also it's EA, so what do you expect? Content lock DLC is one of the worst offenses that a company can make when it comes to downloadable content. It's where they literally lock parts of the original game out of the game where you have to pay for it with downloadable content. So, Beautiful Katamari was one of the first games to do this. It was the 4th game in the series, and it was well known and well revered for its weird gameplay and odd but catchy soundtrack. But the game was marred by the fact that you had to buy downloadable content in order for you to beat the game. Like, you had to play the levels in the DLC in order for you to be able to actually get the 1.5 million kilometer Katamari to complete it, which is just crazy that the company treated their loyal fans like ATMs or something. Metro Last Light was another one that did something like this, where they locked a difficulty setting, which in the commercials themselves say was way the game was meant to be played behind a paywall, or the fact that if you pre-ordered it, which is just shitty, like you shouldn't do that. But one of the worst games to do this was Azura's Wrath. Azura's Wrath was this really cool, anime-styled, epic revenge story where it ended on this massive cliffhanger, only to reveal later on that the final fight and the actual ending of the game was released in downloadable content, which is the trashiest thing I've ever seen a video game company do, and I couldn't expect anything less from the greedy fucks at Capcom. Now, I'm not saying that all downloadable content is bad. Some are really great. Some add a large amount of content to games, which make them even better, and large amounts of extra hours into the game. Like, for example, the Blood and Wine DLC for The Witcher 3 added a huge new area to explore, a bunch of characters to unlock, side quests, and a whole bunch of other neat stuff from like the previous games or characters from the books. Another one was the Undead Nightmare for Red Dead Redemption, which took this really serious tone game and made it into a weird, campy, zombie romp. And one of my favorite downloadable contents was the Citadel DLC for Mass Effect 3, which was one of the most fan-servicey DLCs I've ever played, but it was so much fun that it actually made the ending of Mass Effect 3 not seem as bad, which is saying something, because it was fucking awful. But just, before you go out and buy these DLCs or pre-order a game, do some research, read some reviews, maybe wait the game out to let it come out and see if it's actually worth your hard-earned cash. Because these companies aren't thinking about you, they're thinking about their wallet. So you need to think about your wallet just as much as they do. Just take your time, don't go out and pre-order a game just because you think it looks cool. Look up some reviews, look up how it's being produced. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed my video. If you liked it, maybe send a like or subscribe or send a comment, maybe share it, that'd be super great. If not, that's totally fine with me. You guys have a great day, alright? Peace.